It's hard not to blame myself.
What has the conversation been with Jen since?
She's been a lot stronger than me. She's been holding it together really well, and but it just keeps coming in waves. Just the reality keeps hitting, and we don't know where she is. We don't know if she's safe. And we're just scared. We just want her home.
Have you, like, literally put boots on the ground, went out?
Yeah, I even went out with the cops where I had dropped her off. And we looked all up and down the road, all along the communities, and there was nothing helpful. None of the cameras were pointing the street. Nothing, which in 2024 was surprising. The church across the street had some cameras, and they mentioned seeing her waiting around in the parking lot for a while before moving on, and that was it. But it was grainy. It was grainy footage, and not much else.
Does it seem like she walked west, east?
They said in the direction of the school. I'm not sure what that is.
What was the language? Not language verbally, body language. When you dropped her off, did she seem happy? Was she like, I'm going to meet my friends?
Happy. She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she's just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. She brings a lot of joy to us, and we just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you.
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down. And not feeling her presence here is... Sorry. It's hard.
Oh, no, you're fine. You don't need to apologize.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, so what's this guy doing? Searching for changing the floor? Because what he's doing is he's moving his eyes back and left, but back and right. And he is not making eye contact. And that means that the stuff he was doing in the last one where he was punctuating with his eyes even looks more suspicious now. I don't know where she is. If she is safe, he does a fake eye wipe with that tissue. And I put in my notes, even Murdaugh was smart enough to check his own self and make sure that whether he had a tear or not. This guy has no clue he doesn't. And there's none of that showing. It looks like he might have rubbed his nose before he came in and that to make him red. I even went with the cops. How magnanimous of you to go with the cops to find your own child. Come on. If this is your child or your partner's child, that I even went. That to me says something about what's in his head. The only key point he makes, again, he goes back to one of his key points. None of the cameras point to the street. Even more suspicious. If we go back and look at the things he said, she was asleep. He's telling his story, and every one of those key points that he probably took out intentionally has that eye lock. If you go back and watch, you'll see it. Listen to cadence change as he starts the narrative of grief. So when I said earlier, people slow down because of grief, he's got it down. He does do the slowing down of grief. But when he gets into the story and he's giving the narrative, it disappears, just goes away. And he starts to lilt and tell his story. The guy asked a question. Everybody's going to say he said in past tense about she was, but the guy asked the question in past tense. He does say she was happy. She had had a birthday party, but he said she was a happy kid. And then he shifts gears. And I think he realizes that he said it, and he starts to clean up and say, she is. I would be really careful with a guy like this, because I can tell this guy might be the kind of guy, we always hear people saying, we tell people how to lie. This guy may be the kind of guy who's been binge watching us for days because he knows he's going to talk to the TV. Because I think he probably thinks he's smarter than he is. And he also says, I did not feel her presence. It's hard not feeling her presence. And the mother says the same thing in an earlier interview. Language matters. And people, while they're partners and they do talk, most people don't have the language to talk about that because we don't deal with that in our lives. If you've lost somebody very close to you, you may use that language. But if you haven't, who walks around using those words? Most people don't. So this guy, look, we all know now he's been arrested for, and there was evidence against. And if you want to know about that evidence, go look it up. But there's plenty here to make you really want to dig further and ask a bunch more questions. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. Rather than saying, look, we miss her, we want her home, get her home, not feeling her presence here, that idea is usually reserved for the dead. So,
Yes.
it's out of place here. I agree with you, Greg. We have the question is asked: what was she feel? What was her demeanor the day before? She was happy. Makes sense. What was it like the day before? She was happy. Then she was a happy kid. Okay, well, that's now a generalization in the past tense, and that which could be fine if it wasn't corrected to go, she's a happy kid.
Right.
So that does stand out for me there. And this last thing here is he hasn't looked at the footage on the video. There's an idea that there's some video out there where she is seen, but it's grainy in some case. If I was looking for my daughter, I'd be like, and I've seen that video and it's her, or I've seen that video and it wasn't her. I would have looked at that video because I would be going, I'm going to know my daughter better than anybody else. I'll be able to tell if it's her. I'll be able to tell if she's being followed. I'll be able to tell from a gait if she's happy at that point or not. I will have more information than anybody else if I can see that footage. He hasn't even looked at it from his description. Well, that's odd. That's odd. Even if he's guilty, if I was guilty, I'd be going, I want to look at that footage because I want to see whether, what the hell's happening? What the hell's happening here? I want to see whether this is enough for me to go, yeah, see, that is her, that she's alive at that point. Yeah, not dead in the back of my car right now. That's her alive. Yeah, I would want an alibi out of that if I was guilty for a start. And if I was not guilty and I'm looking for my kid, I want to see that footage. He's not even looked at it. That is bizarre. Chase, what do you got on this one?
Y'all covered a lot here, and I agree. When he says it keeps coming in waves, reality keeps hitting, those are things you say after an event has concluded, after there's some certainty about the end of that event. And he's still injecting difficulty into the search with more finality in his tone. There's no real emotion, no tears, no facial expressions of grief, can't make eye contact during the critical times when it's reasonable to do so. And when the details aren't helpful or relevant, when a child's missing, parents who are innocent don't spend time on those details ever, ever, ever. So when you see a mountain of detail about everything that's just a pile of known facts, and then parents briefly skim over the fact that they want help finding the child or they want the child home, these parents need lots of attention, if you get my drift. So the acting here is pretty bad, but it's hard to fake wanting to find somebody if you don't want them found. And it's harder than acting on TV or movies because you have to pretend that everything is the opposite of the truth, not just a version of the truth. So that's why everything feels off here. So he mentions happy 3 times in this. Did y'all pick up on that? Like happy and happy and happy. That's something I would love to ask about if I was this reporter. And again, I wish the media would just download that PDF I put in the description down below. It's helpful, and it will help us to analyze your videos if you ever have to interview anybody like this again. Scott, what do you got?
Hey, before you go there, if you're watching this, you're welcome to contact us if you're getting ready for an interview like this, and we will help you go and ask the right questions. We mean that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Get a hold of us. The Behavior Panel at gmail.com, and behavior is spelled BEHVHAVIOR. There's no U in there. And it's not behavioral. A lot of people think it's behavioral panel, but it's just the Behavior Panel at gmail.com. Email us. We'll hook you up. So, all right. So when it comes to facial expressions, especially those that deal with true emotion, those expressions don't fade very fast. His expressions do. When he puts on that fake little crying face, then it goes away quickly to a face where he looks like he's almost trying to observe something. It goes away. Fake won't stick. That's one of the things about true emotion. If you have true emotion, it lasts. Sometimes if you have a surprise, the surprise doesn't last very long. Anger lasts a while, and happiness lasts a while. But even at its largest, when you're happy, it starts fading some. But when you see someone who has a sad face and it goes back to normal, the sad face goes back to normal, it's not because they're thinking it becoming sad and it's going away. It's because they can't make it stick. He thinks he's still making that face, or he's under the impression because he's trying to do that, but it just starts fading away. That's what we're seeing here. That's what lets us know he's not truly sad about anything. That little Mickey Mouse voice he's got going and that fake expression fading like that. He looks normal. He looks unbothered. If you just stop this and look at it, and it looks like he's looking for something. It's the oddest behavior for someone who's supposedly worried about somebody or has just experienced something where someone in their family or one of their close, someone they love is missing. That whole thing isn't right. You guys covered just about everything. So there you go. I'll leave it there. All right, Mark, you win that one.
I was the only player.
Nobody else is concerned now. I got all that guff. Now nobody's.
One of those tape replays.
It's hard not to blame myself.
What has the conversation been with Jen since?
She's been a lot stronger than me. She's been holding it together really well, and but it just keeps coming in waves. Just the reality keeps hitting, and we don't know where she is. We don't know if she's safe. We're just scared. We just want her home.
Have you, like, literally put boots on the ground, went out?
Yeah, I even went out with the cops where I had dropped her off. And we looked all up and down the road, all along the communities, and there was nothing helpful. None of the cameras were pointing the street. Nothing, which in 2024 was surprising. The church across the street had some cameras, and they mentioned seeing her waiting around in the parking lot for a while before moving on, and that was it. But it was grainy. It was grainy footage, and not much else.
Does it seem like she walked west, east?
They said in the direction of the school. I'm not sure what that is.
What was the language, not language verbally, language, body language, when you dropped her off? Did she seem happy? Was she like, I'm going to meet my friends?
Happy. She had a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she's just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. She brings a lot of joy to us, and we just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you.
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down. And not feeling her presence here is... Sorry. It's hard.
Oh no, you're fine. No need to apologize.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.